Republican Democratic Congressman from Illinois, Raj Krishnamurthy, who serves as ranking member of the Select Committee on the Strategic Competition between the United States and the Chinese Communist Party. Congressman, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much, Seema.
We've seen over the last couple of months a number of high-ranking U.S. officials, not to mention a number of CEOs, going over to China to mend the relationship between our two countries. But the relationship remains challenged. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's going to continue challenged unless the Chinese Communist Party curbs some of its economic aggression, whether it's intellectual property theft or whether it's dumping or any number of other irritating moves that really cause a lot of distress. On top of all of that, they're raiding American companies in China, detaining employees, and making it hard to do business there. So given those challenges, I still think that Gina Raimondo's trip and others are very important because we need to continue the dialogue and communicating. All that being said, actions speak louder than words. So I'm looking forward to more of those on the part of the CCP that help to improve the relationship.
The council that you co-lead just a couple of weeks ago launched an investigation into BlackRock and MSCI on alleged, funneling of investments into China. Can you tell me how the companies have responded and where that investigation is right now?
They are cooperating with the investigation. They're providing information to us about their investments. It all started when, essentially there are concerns about investments in certain companies in China where those companies could be harming our national security or by hurting our values by continuing their assistance in perpetrating the Uyghur genocide. So we're continuing the investigation. We look forward to more cooperation by these companies and others.
Congressman, one of the issues that was much discussed during Secretary Raimondo's trip to China was export controls covering sensitive chips or chip equipment manufacturing gear. We had a guest on earlier this week who said that the export controls are one thing, but don't lose sight of the licensing. And I'm not sure, I'm no expert on this, so you're going to have to steer me through it. That the licensing provides some wiggle room to get around some of the export controls. Am I onto something there? How can you enlighten us on that?
You may be, and I think that that's why it's very important for the Biden administration to continue to tighten their controls. Chairman Gallagher, Mike Gallagher, the Republican chair of the committee, as well as myself, wrote a letter recently to Gina Raimondo asking for a tightening of the export controls to cover any loopholes or areas where the Chinese are trying to do workarounds with regard to our export controls.
I mean, in a way, it seems like, Congressman, your efforts run counter to what the administration is trying to achieve right now, which is to create a space for productive dialogue with the Chinese. Would you agree?
No, not necessarily. I think that the Biden administration is walking and chewing gum at the same time. On the one hand, they are tightening export controls. They're making it tougher for the CCP and its affiliated actors to use technology that we produce against us. And on the other hand, they're engaging in dialogue to see where we might be able to curb their economic aggression. And I think you have to have both.
Do you believe, I mean, there are some people who say that the Biden administration has been even tougher than its predecessor with respect to China, and they certainly have held on to the tariffs, or at least many of those. Do you think that's a good policy?
I think so. We just had a field hearing in Wisconsin at a semi-truck trailer equipment manufacturer. And what they explained is that they were basically getting driven out of business by the Chinese dumping their chassis on the market at a cost less than the raw materials used to produce them. And so that's when the U.S. put tariffs on those Chinese chassis products, enabling this Wisconsin manufacturer to then rebound. And that is essential for them to thrive and for other industries to survive as well.
As we watch for, where this U.S.-China business relationship goes, one area of interest, I know for you as well, has been a TikTok ban. We've been talking about this for over 2 years, yet we've seen no action. What is the holdup, do you think?
Well, I think that part of it is there are different committees of jurisdiction. And surprise, surprise, different committees in Congress have different ideas with regard to how the legislation should be shaped. That being said, I think there are a lot of people in Congress who want to see the ownership of TikTok changed from a CCP-controlled entity, namely ByteDance, to some other entity. I don't think we necessarily want to see TikTok go dark, but we don't want it to be controlled by an entity that must give user data to the CCP upon request, and where the CCP is embedded within the company and its leadership.
Yeah, we'll wait for more on that, especially when Senate returns next week. Congressman, thank you for joining us. That's Congressman Raj Krishnamurthy.